Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dave, and the ISACA San Diego chapter for having the San Diego Cyber Clinic team on. We are a consortium that's now celebrating our first year of operation. So really excited to bring this team to you. I'm Lisa Easterly, the president and CEO of Cyber Center of Excellence, or CCOE. We are a San Diego-based nonprofit that mobilizes industry, academia, and government to grow our regional cyber economy and create a more secure digital community for all. I'll pass the mic over to Teresa for introductions, and then Lance Larson, unfortunately, is not with us. He's actually teaching as we speak. I'll do a quick introduction for Lance, and I'll just lower my voice so that way I sound like him. But we are in partnership with SDSU. Dr. Lance Larson is the co-director of the master's program in Homeland Security and the principal and director for the San Diego Cyber Clinic at SDSU. So with that, Teresa.
Hi, my name is Teresa Macklin. I am the director of the Cybersecurity master's program at Cal State San Marcos and one of the participating institutions for the San Diego Cyber Clinic. Chris.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for having us. I'm Chris Simpson. I'm the director of the National University Center for Cybersecurity and a program lead for our MS Cybersecurity program, and we are a proud member of the San Diego Cyber Clinic.
Fantastic. So now we keep saying San Diego Cyber Clinic. We're very excited in this partnership launched over really it's been multiple years, but officially stood up since the summer of 2024. The partnership is between CCOE, Cal State San Marcos, National University, and SDSU. And we've been very grateful to receive funding, both in terms of support from google.org, as well as a variety of different resources, including Titan keys and opportunities for Google certifications for our students, as well as a plethora of resources through the Consortium of Cybersecurity Clinics. The consortium is actually now celebrating its almost fifth year in operation, launched by the University of Berkeley and MIT. Started as a handful of academic institutions that were interested in providing students with hands-on learning and connectivity to employers while supporting those at most risk and most under-resourced in our communities. Very excited to share that the group has now grown to over 40 clinics in many states across the United States, as well as a lot of global partners, and now has over 3,000 student alumni as part of that larger group. So very excited to be the only multi-institution clinic that is part of that global consortium with a nonprofit leading the charge. And in our first year, it's just been an absolute whirlwind, but we've been able to support over 220 students. We have 18 faculty across the three institutions, as well as 40 clients, and really running the gambit in terms of the types of organizations that we're working with, from small municipalities and utilities, critical infrastructure partners, nonprofits, and a variety of industries, from the department, DOD or DIB kind of supportive supply chains, healthcare and organizations, and so many others, as well as education. So really excited to hopefully, and with your support, meet our goal over the next 6 years of this grant process to have over 1,000 students serving 260 organizations. So with that, I'd love to tell you a little bit more about how we're supporting the community, and I'll turn it over to Teresa and Chris to speak to some of the different types of services that we're offering.
So I'll start off here. When we at Cal State San Marcos, we have been doing capstone projects that are often community-based for years now. But it was sort of ad hoc and not organized into any consistent pattern. So what we were doing with the clinic is we were pulling from examples of the types of work, and this is also true for NU, I should mention. We pulled from the type of work we're typically doing for clients. So we use that to create a number of sort of example, here is what we can do for you. Because what we have found over the years is that the clients often don't know exactly what they want. They know they need help, but they don't know how to articulate it. So we created a sort of a menu with a paragraph about each of these that we might do for an organization. Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
No, no. I think one thing to add is, this is a list of great projects that our students can do, but it's not the only things that the students can do. So, we can't think of everything. And I think, like Teresa mentioned, in many cases, customers don't necessarily know what they want, especially the smaller organizations. And I think all three institutions, we've done projects from, let's say, a two-person small business support in DoD to large school districts and water authorities and things like that. So it's a wide variety of projects that our students can do.
And maybe Teresa and Chris, can you provide a couple of examples? And I want to highlight too, I don't know if we made this very clear, these are free. They are free to the community, they are free to the clients, they are free for students to participate. The whole goal here is really to be able to bring these types of services and also as Teresa and Chris mentioned, the expansion of services to those in need within our region. So maybe Teresa and Teresa, if we could get a couple anonymized examples of how we've helped support.
Sure. Well, let me say first that that anonymized was very important because we do these projects for often small businesses. We like to also go for nonprofit because they can't afford this, and they certainly probably can't fundraise to get the money to pay someone to do this. So we like to work with nonprofits when possible, but it turns out that the majority of the projects that we've been doing at Cal State San Marcos are more for small business, and these range from going in and doing a risk assessment. We've used Security Studio, for instance, to do a risk assessment with a small business up in Murrieta last semester. We also have worked with local cities and other regions. We have done with them, it was sort of a policy development. They needed to uh, pull together their operations into a NIST framework, which they didn't have. So that was policy development. Often we're doing sort of a risk register and a gap analysis for their current um, their current activities versus what they probably should be doing based on common risk assessment methodology. We also have done disaster recovery, a big disaster recovery plan for a pretty big company that was with somebody who also worked at that company. So that's sort of uh, a different take on things. We have done I'm looking down here. We have done a lot of security awareness training, and also we went in, this was a few years ago now, and helped an organization develop KPIs or performance metrics to sort of measure if their existing security program was actually doing what they hoped it would do to bring down to bring down their realized incidents. So that's just an example. Chris, you?
Yeah, thanks, Teresa. So, yeah, our students have done a wide variety of projects. So we've done, for example, a trucking company that did DoD work. They had to do some CMMC stuff, so we helped them get started on that process. We've done a water district before, a vulnerability assessment. The student happened to be an employee at that particular water district, and he brought his team in to do a project for them. We've done public and private school assessments. We've done a police station. We did an assessment there. They found a vulnerability in a copier there that was kind of interesting. We also eat our own medicine. So at National, students have done projects for our CISO here at National, and then we've got a cross university project that we're kicking off this month. So a large variety of projects. And we have students both here in San Diego and around the country. So we've done projects around the country, and even in Canada with a partnership with another organization that maps students to different projects. And I think maybe Teresa, you might have done some of the same with your students.
Yeah.
And I think, Dave, did you have a question for us?
Yeah, I was just curious, if there for like a business or we say a small business, if there's a kind of size or scope that you try and keep things in to share with the attendees if they may know somebody that they could refer.
Come one, come all. We really are here to be, for San Diego by San Diego. And so, as Chris and Teresa have mentioned, a lot of the reason we were developed was to support those in need, so under resource organizations, but that doesn't necessarily mean small. And so we are more than happy to work on projects. We also greatly appreciate a lot of the kind of pillar institutions in the region that have helped provide projects in continuum, because we want to make sure every student has access to have this type of hands-on learning. And so we love those opportunities to really work more long-term with an organization and be able to support them through a variety of different projects or a variety of different divisions within their, under their own house. So we welcome anyone that is on this meeting to reach out, and we'll provide as we go some links and different ways for you to connect with us too. Great question, Dave. Thank you.
Awesome. And on, thank you. Yeah.
So, kind of how this works and what makes this special, I'll turn this over to Chris to really kind of talk about how we're a force multiplier in working collaboratively as four institutions, and then also through partnerships with organizations like ISACA. So, Chris, I'll pass this one to you. And Chris gets to do the very deep voice to talk as Lance. This was initially going to be Lance's slide.
Yeah, one thing that's great about academia, and especially here in San Diego, it's a collaborative system, right? So universities aren't really competing against each other. So we can work together, because our goal is to help our students, get them workforce ready, help them finish their degrees, and get into the workforce. And I think Teresa kind of alluded to this, kind of doing these onesies, twosies as one institution. It's a bit challenging. And I'll speak for myself. I'm not good at marketing, but we got a great person like Lisa that helps get the word out about the clinic. So we're really going to leverage all of the expertise of the four different organizations to help organizations. And one of the challenges that I think all of us found was tools, right? So tools can be expensive. There's always a learning curve to use different tools, but that's what employers want to see. They want to see students that have had experience using specific tools. So we've leveraged our partnership and the grant resources to test out various tools for our students to use. Teresa mentioned Security Studio. We use another tool called Axio for risk management and doing assessments. To be honest, we have had a little trouble with scanning tools, vulnerability scanning tools, getting the right product. So if we're looking for feedback and suggestions for that. And then project management tools. We've experimented with a couple different systems, so to help our students manage their projects. Because once again, those are the things that employers want to see the students have access to. And then one of the great benefits of being part of this grant is the resources that Google provides to us. So one of the best things is we've got two mentors, and these mentors, their day job is they're both from the Mandiant arm of Google, so they're bringing that real world experience to our students. So they've done webinars for us. We've got one coming up about securing the human. I think the last one they did, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, it was about assessments, right? Or I don't remember the exact topic.
Yes, and we have coming up securing the human, something always fun to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. So they're bringing that real world experience for students. And then one of the great things is they do office hours. So our students can come in and, hey, can you explain this? We're doing this assessment or we're doing this project. Can you give us some insight or kind of QA our risk matrix or things like that? So it's really helpful. And then a couple other added benefits is they get access to the Google cybersecurity certificates. And Google gave us a big batch of Titan keys for the students to use. So that's been really valuable. And then part of this project too is really we want to see how effective it is, right? So working together, the Cal State San Marcos team has put and my colleague Nancy put a great survey together. So we do an intake survey, and then we do an outtake survey for both the students and the customers. So we'll be able to see, what we're doing right and what we can improve on, and this will help us kind of understand the needs and everything as we go. And then hopefully as we succeed, we'll be able to get additional funding because it is challenging, especially the tool part is probably what I would say kind of one of our biggest purchasing challenges.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun too from the data collection just to be able to kind of roll this up into, as we mentioned, our position with the Consortium of Cybersecurity Clinics, and to be able to see how one region can also help to then mobilize other regions across not just the US, but the world. So the work that we're doing is really kind of, again, reverberating through the academic community as well as the larger cyber community around the globe. So with that, we'll love to tell you a little bit about
Hold
how
on.
each of us play in.
Hold
So
on, Lisa,
yes,
let me
please.
launch your first poll, yeah?
Oh, yes, so sorry. We're going to do our first poll before we jump into this. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dun, da, da, da.
Tim's one of the adults in the room.
I
So
appreciate that. We always need at least a few.
yeah. Yeah. They know it's not me. So
Oh, this is fun. I like live polling.
yeah. Still got some coming in. We
yeah.
got out of 61%, 2%.
Very cool. Well, for all of you who are answering yes to this question, we'll have the link very shortly coming up in the presentation. Of course, we'll also make sure you have it after. It's a very easy sign-up sheet. We just need a little bit more information about your organization, the areas we might be able to assist you. And then the good news is, because of how our program works, we are year-round in our support. So we have the ability to plug students in pretty quickly and or have students that align more with a specific timeline for your organization, or potentially with a longer project that takes multiple semesters even, and potentially even multiple teams. So if you have not answered yes yet, if that helps, feel free to go ahead and click that top button.
Yeah, and just real quick, Dorothy did share through chat. Uh, uh, she's on an iPhone and the poll questions are not showing up. So just to share with everybody, anybody that's on a mobile phone, the question is, are you interested in working with the San Diego Cyber Clinic students and instructors to address your organization's cybersecurity challenges? And you can say yes or no. So if anybody that's not seeing those, feel free to drop them in the chat if you can.
Lisa,
Or
how much do we charge again? I forget.
Nothing. So again, all of these services are provided free of charge. We also do them with each academic institution where there are risk management. We make sure that we have MOUs. There are safeguards in place again for making sure things are anonymized. And we have all of our students working in tandem with faculty. So, and for the most part, these students are also, particularly in our master's program, already in cybersecurity in their day jobs. So these are our students with experience coming from their capstone versus from the beginning of their educational journey. So I think with that, should we go ahead and close the poll and keep moving on? Does
Yeah.
that work?
Sure.
All right. There we go. Well, that's fantastic. So out of 75, we have at least half of you that we get to play with after this. We're very excited to.
and you have a yes from Dorothy as
Yay,
well
Dorothy.
through the chat.
So with that, we're going to tell you a little bit about how each of our institutions play into this greater whole, and the types of work that we're doing, both collectively as well as how we integrate each of the individual programs. So Teresa, back to you.
Hello again. And I apologize that when I'm speaking, Lisa's showing on the screen. We had an identity crisis with Zoom earlier, and I appear to have merged identities with Lisa, but this isn't Lisa talking, it's Teresa talking,
And I'm
in spite of
delighted. I got a whole lot smarter really fast. I love it.
It's this is one of those you can't believe your own eyes type of thing. Before I start, I wanted to answer Patricia. So the answer to that is no. We have students at NU and at Cal State San Marcos. We have students from outside of San Diego County. I have someone right now who is up in San Francisco area or the Bay Area, and we're kind of struggling to figure out how we're going to get a clinic project. He would like to do a hands-on project. We're working on how we're going to find someone up there. So no, but I mean, if you wanted somebody in person, then that becomes problematic. But most of these things can be remote now. And in fact, I'm going to talk about Cal State San Marcos now. Our program is largely remote. We do have some people who take classes on campus, but the master's program can be completed completely remote. So sure, talk to us if you have a project somewhere else. So in the state of California, the state has they have laws. There's rules. Each master's program must have what's called a culminating experience, and that can take the form of a test, a thesis, like your classic, master's research thesis, or a project. And at Cal State San Marcos, we have a project-based master's because we're a fairly hands-on program. We want as much actual practical experience as we can get them. So with this capstone that they perform, I'm going to really just talk about the master's right here. We have a new bachelor's program, but it's only been in place for a year and a half. And so we haven't even graduated anyone yet. They'll be starting capstones next spring. But what we have is sort of a 2-semester process. They're developing a proposal, and often for their project, they need to learn how to use tools. And so if they're going to use something, so we have Security Studio here. So if they're going to use Security Studio, they need some training on how to do that. So they will do that kind of training, some project management training, and some other practical how to work with a client and write a report sort of type training in one semester, and then the following semester typically they do their project, whatever that is. And so someone asked the questions earlier, do you primarily work with small organizations or large organizations? And I really had to kind of think about that a little because when a student works with a very small organization, that means that they're really getting their hands in there and they're getting a lot of practical experience with doing everything. But when they work with a larger organization, they get to see how a larger organization works and get exposed to more tools and other workplace conditions in an information security team. So we like both. But what I guess I'm getting at is we want the practical workplace experience for our students, and our universities all have a goal of service to the community. So we're trying to fulfill that also. All right, Chris.
Perfect.
Great, thanks. So at National University, we have a different delivery model. So our classes are 4 weeks in length. Students take one class at a time. We focus on adult learners. Our average student age is roughly about 33 years old. And our process, and it's in both our bachelor's and our master's program, it's a 3-month capstone project. And so basically the first month is kind of planning, getting some of the paperwork done, hold harmless, MOUs and things like that. Month 2, they execute the project, do the assessments and things like that. And in the 3rd month, they finish up the assessment or whatever they're doing, wrap up, and then present out their findings. We started doing this in about 2020. We've done over 250 external projects, and as part of this grant, we're really formalizing formalizing these projects. A couple other things about that at National is our capstone instructors, most of them are part-time faculty and they're working in industry, so they're bringing that industry experience to the to those capstone classes. So they're helping the students along, mentoring the students to complete these projects. And our projects take place at the end of the program. So in the master's program, they've completed 10 master's level courses, getting them ready for this. And then in the bachelor's program, they've completed about, I think, 19 or 20 cybersecurity related courses, from intro to cyber to incident response, pen testing, so the whole gamut. So they're really ready to go as they roll into these capstone projects. And it's a really great program. We're working on helping the students deal better with customers. Part of this grant too, the soft skills, right? So we have industry advisory boards. They say industry needs people with soft skills. So our team, the 3 universities, we put together some great content to help students with the soft skills. They got some exercises they can do. And for us, we're looking at expanding. We also have a data science with a cybersecurity specialization. So we're going to see if there's anybody's interested in doing some type of data science, data analytics. That's another possible project. And I think, like Lisa mentioned, many of the students, I think, at all 3 programs have work experience. They've worked in industry. I think we all have a fair amount of veterans in our different programs. And like Teresa, we're on site and online. So we have our campus at Spectrum, and then our students all over the country.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. And on the SDSU side, this is our largest student population. Go Aztecs, woohoo. And a bit different than the programs that we have at CSUSM and at National, and a great complement. And that the team at SDSU is bringing in multidiscipline students. So students from the Department of Homeland Security program, from the computer science programs, even some related policy programs, to really kind of approach this holistically. And so this is a great opportunity for, again, bachelor's and master's students to not just kind of find their communities within their own schools, but to create these links that, as we all know, cybersecurity is a team sport, to really create these connective tissue and these points for themselves, for their own career development, but also, again, for the greater resiliency of our community. So it's great to have in this program so many different kind of configurations, because again, it allows us to support clients year round. It allows us to work on projects that are shorter in term or potentially longer in term. And then it also, as Chris mentioned, allows us to potentially tap into multiple institutions for a project like we are working on now, where it really brings all of our expertise to bear. So excited to get to do some of these projects with you. CCOE's role in this has really been to support the client pipeline. So one of the biggest challenges that our brethren in the larger consortium have always faced is to make sure that they have a pipeline for their students and every student and every capstone to be able to work on one of these hands-on projects. And so one of our roles is really to make sure that we're reaching out to all of our key sectors within San Diego, to let them know that this resource is available. We do a lot of the marketing, the grant administration, the liaising between kind of that, again, larger brain trust of other clinics and other programs around the world. And then, of course, you can't talk projects without talking ultimately funding. The good news is we are funded for the 6 years of our kind of seeding, but are looking to continue to grow and expand into partnerships with the community colleges, with K through 12, with the other universities, and bringing in additional resources and connectivity to the industry. And so with that, we really want to kind of talk about how you can play with us. And so, Teresa, I'll turn this back over to you to start to engage the group. And I think, Tim, are we doing another question here?
Yeah, we're doing another poll question. Probably want to go through this slide and then I'll do it at the end.
Perfect. All righty, Teresa.
So we have a website. Of course, we have a website. Lisa hosts it at CCOE, and you can see the link right there. And if you go to that website, you're going to see a sign up form, and then you're going to see sort of the a menu of services, which are really just intended to be ideas to help clients who don't know exactly what it is they need. It's probably not true for anyone here, but one of the things that we would appreciate is if you could mention this to other people out there, other organizations who you think might be interested. So, there, like we keep saying, there's no fees. We're not charging. Our students, I should mention, aren't being paid, or at least Cal State San Marcos and NU students aren't being paid. I'm not positive exactly how SDSU is doing this for some of their internships, but our students are not paid, and certainly not paid through the clinic clients wouldn't pay. They do this for academic credit. So this is, when we say no fees, we really mean no fees. Uh, and we do, like we mentioned before, we have a goal of supporting underserved organizations. But if you're a giant organization who would like students to do something we didn't mention that I think both National and Cal State San Marcos have done, is sort of like bake-offs. You need a new uh, a firewall, and you would like to see a bake-off of all the different firewall products out on the market or something. Firewall is not a great example, but you know what I mean? We've had students do that kind of thing. If you have projects like that and you're not a small underserved organization, we're interested. If you're, I am personally very interested in cyber insurance and the relationship between cyber insurers and their customers. If you have something like that, and certainly if you have clients or people who are working on, um, you know, meeting the requirements for their cyber insurance, that would be a terrific project for students to help with. We didn't specifically put that on the list, but we probably should. Okay, so Chris, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would just add, I know some of the attendees here, they may have their own business, and we're not competitors to the small business of providing great services here in San Diego. In many cases, some of these organizations, they just can't even afford a basic security assessment. So we can be a bridge, right, to help people get up to like a certain standard and hand them off to MSPs or other types of service providers. So yeah, don't see us as somebody trying to steal to steal your business. And we're kind of project oriented now, so we don't necessarily have that longer term support. Although we can do like long term projects, we're not really like an MSP or some type of security service.
Yeah, and what we're starting to even see now is it kind of going both ways. So we have some of these smaller organizations that have, a potential client that comes that is a bit smaller, even for them, that they can refer to the clinic, and then vice versa. Once some of these customers get to a point where they've matured and they really need more long-term service, we're able to provide that reference into the pool here in our region. So we're very appreciative of those partnerships. And then Chris, I'll turn it over to you to kind of kick off. How do we engage with students, and how is this valuable for the students that are participating?
Hold off.
Yeah.
1 sec. Wait, Chris.
Oops,
Yep.
oh, I forgot. We're supposed to do the poll question. See, this is why
There
we
you go.
need Jim keeping us on the train.
Let's see. It should be up. Yep.
Can I break in for a minute to talk about what an industry mentor might be?
Please.
When I see the words industry mentor, and I think of, I'm the retired Chief Information Security Officer at Cal State San Marcos, and I retired exhausted right before COVID, so good timing. But when I see serve as an industry mentor, I think I don't have time for that. I couldn't, I don't have the bandwidth for it. But I wanted to say that a mentor could be a longer term relationship with a program or with a particular student team working on a clinic project. But also, I have this enormous, I ask students, what would you ask? What would you ask if you had an opportunity to just talk to someone in the cybersecurity field? And they responded with an enormous list of questions. So, I mean, if you're willing to even serve as a drop-in, to answer a few of these questions, which of course we would give you ahead of time, so you're not trying to formulate a good response on the spot. that would be great. So the term mentor doesn't necessarily, um, don't be afraid. It does not have to be a huge resource commitment on your part.
Yeah, and to Teresa's point too, we love opportunities to have you serve on webinars, sharing different advice. I know Dave just mentioned they did a really cool program about imposter syndrome, which I thought was brilliant. Something really interesting that maybe folks aren't thinking about, or we get more in depth on something in terms of securing the human or assessments, or sometimes we look at it in terms of pathways, career pathways. What are the different potential options for these students as they are starting to look at graduation? And so lots of ways to engage if you're interested in helping us shape this next generation of cyber warriors. So I think we probably are good on
Okay.
that one.
Yep.
If you
Okay.
are, yeah, if you are interested, at the end of this presentation, my email is going to pop up. Please reach out because we'll make sure that we customize something that, again, to Teresa's point, works with your very busy schedules. I know everyone on these calls are Cape Crusaders by day. So we definitely want to make sure that we're working within your schedules and we have a lot of opportunities to participate. All righty, Mr. Simpson, back to you for students.
Great, thanks, Lisa. So, our master's program has been around about 14 years now, and one of the feedback items we get from our advisory board is, giving students practical experience and having them ready for the workforce. And that, to be honest, that's a bit hard to do in an academic environment. We do a lot of hands-on labs and things like that. But what these projects do for the students is they have to deal with real-world customers, right? They can't say, well, you just have to follow these 20 things on the checklist. They have to deal with customer problems, make it a value to the business, and get that real-world experience. So it's getting those critical, giving those critical skills that employers need for potential employees. And it's also getting them out in the community, helping kind of improve the digital protection, not only San Diego, but wherever they work, the projects. And here's another interesting thing at our recent advisory boards, and I think Teresa might have seen this in some of her advisory boards. We have this gap, but it's hard to get entry level jobs in cybersecurity now. I've seen that, if I'm connecting with anybody on LinkedIn, you've probably seen some of the conversations by me and some of the other leaders in cybersecurity. So it's challenging for students to get entry level jobs by doing this type of project. They're literally doing a project. So they can say, I conducted a risk assessment for a small 20-person healthcare institute. We did this, and this, right? So it really helps them beef up their resume and get into the workforce. And then also it's going to connect them with potential internships and maybe even job opportunities. If they do a really good job for a company, that company might pick them up or do some additional consulting services.
Awesome. I see, Dave, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to mention something earlier and didn't realize that I was muted, but I just wanted to throw the idea out there as we kind of were talking about whether maybe your organization might be interested, regardless of what size. What I would encourage people to do, just trying to think a little more out of the box. You definitely ask yourself if your organization can benefit from this, but think about some of the organizations that your business does business with. Think about it in lines of like a supply chain, and maybe you've got some there that really could benefit from this. And I think some good stuff might come from that. So I just wanted to throw the idea out there.
We appreciate that. Absolutely. Again, cyber is a team sport. That means everybody has to play. Otherwise, there's always that weak link. So this was Lance's piece. So I'll try to do my best here. And I think I'm going to toss it back to Chris and Teresa. But really, what this is providing from what we're hearing from the faculty and the staff is opportunities for their students to take what they're learning in these courses and apply it, and to be able to get resume building skills. This is the critical part that we see from employers over and over, is that they want folks with experience, and it is very hard to go from zero experience to a year of experience. And so this is where we really see bridging that gap and connecting students with these opportunities that hopefully they create these relationships and they impress these employers that ultimately leads to their gainful employment afterwards. What this is doing too is it's providing really kind of an opportunity for all of these faculty across these 3 institutions as well to collaborate and to, again, create these kind of force multipliers. And so Chris and Teresa, additions from our actual faculty.
Yeah, our faculty, I think, really like this. I think another big benefit for our faculty is getting access to some of these tools, right, that they can use in the real world environment. So it's not just, Word docs and spreadsheets and things like that, and helping the students frame frame the assessment. One of our big things is, we always have the students do a risk register for the project itself. So they're really kind of getting down and they're understanding how you really have to think about risk from a cybersecurity perspective and a project perspective.
I don't have anything really to add here, but at universities, we're really good at teaching what that they're supposed to do, and to a certain extent, why, but often it's kind of hard to do the how part of it. So yeah, you can teach someone all about a security program framework and how to do risk assessment and what is a disaster recovery plan, et cetera, et cetera. But with the hands-on, building that and integrating it, and yeah, go ahead, make an access control policy, no problem. Implement that thing, go ahead, that's a problem. So the more that we can give them these actual experiences, and the more that our faculty are involved with the actual experiences, the better it is for everybody.
Absolutely.
You, us, students, the whole thing.
And we've got great partnerships too within the region, like the city's San Diego Regional Cyber Lab, which gives us some hands-on and, again, more resources, more opportunities to connect. We have labs. I see there's a question about labs too, about being able to, where students can review their individual life, their own cyber risk. So I know National has really great hands-on labs. I know CSUSM and SDSU also bring students in. I know SDSU brings students into the SOC. So I think, again, lots of opportunities to provide, again, that hands-on experience. So we're coming to the end because we want to make sure that we give everyone time to be able to ask questions. I'm going to put up here, you've got the clinic's website. Again, great opportunity to look at our menu of services and sign up for interest. Just by signing up for interest, you are not actually signing up for a project. We do follow up and get a lot more information. So if you are interested in any way in learning more, we highly recommend, please go ahead and submit that. And then I also want to make sure that you have all of our email addresses. So for all of you who answered the questions 2 and 3, yes, that's my email. Send one to me. Introduce yourself. We'd love to have your engagement from a mentorship perspective. We'd love to have your engagement as well. I think we're going to put up our last poll question before we go to questions. But one of the other things, as Chris mentioned, that we are really looking for from the community is you might have tools that you think would be valuable for students to learn and get some real experience with. So if your organization or if you've come in contact with different types of tools you think would be valuable, we'd love to hear from you. And that's another reason to go ahead and shoot us an email. So we'll go ahead and let that question finish up. And then our last slide is all about, whoops, did I make it go away? There we go. This is the questions part of the program. So feel free to send them our way.
Yeah, and I've kind of been collecting some that have come across through the hour to not interrupt, so we can kind of dive in on those if that would work.
Please.
First one was from Michael, and it was just, if we can't make it on the 9/25 event, when is the next one?
The 9/25 event.
Yeah, does that ring a bell?
No, but good. Thank you for saying that, because we'll put this into the chat. We actually have the anniversary event at Snapdragon Stadium, which is coming up on October 15th. And that's a great way to meet students that are currently doing projects, those that might be available for new ones, as well as the whole team. So we'll make sure we put that registration link into the chat.
Yeah, that'd be excellent. Thank you. Next one was, can an individual student participate? It does sound like an organizational community support.
So individual students participate from each of the current programs. So if you are a student at one of these institutions, particularly at SDSU, even if you are not a cyber student, there are opportunities for participation. We highly recommend reaching out to Dr. Larson. If you are a student that is interested in volunteering, so external of the clinic, at this time, it's currently limited to these programs, but we are looking at kind of like a cyber Red Cross type opportunity for those that are interested in getting involved. So if you are interested and you don't kind of neatly fit into one of the categories we've talked about, still reach out because there are opportunities to participate in the community.
Okay, fantastic. The next one is, hello, I am currently not working, but do have a background in leading assessments, managing an assessment team, and looking at the various tools available, including open source. I am not associated with any companies. Is there any other way for me to engage?
Again, reach out. There are different ways. The clinic, like we said, is currently limited to the students. And again, part of that is risk management. Part of that is making sure that they have the particular credentials that that are part of those programs. And Teresa and Chris, please feel free to weigh in here as well. But through CCOE, there are ways for the broader community to provide their skills and serve the larger ecosystem.
That question came up. I almost answered it, except I was, talking at the time. That question came up before we talked about mentors. So that's almost, if possible, and if that works for the person who asked the question, that's almost a perfect mentorship situation if they're available for that. So I hope that they get a hold of us for that. And while this poll about tools is up, even if your organization doesn't provide a cybersecurity tool, I'm always looking for industry advice about what tools our students should know and be familiar with when they graduate. So if you just feel like it, if you drop in there, students should know, name a tool. We're always interested in that.
No, it's fantastic. And then if I go out of order, but just real quick, Bill Higgs did drop in the chat that InfraGard has an event coming up. I think it's October 7th, which is a fantastic event for professionals and students alike. And there is a coupon for students to be able to get, and I think it's at half price. And it's a great event, really looking forward to it. And they were kind enough to help provide with the ISACA San Diego chapter a table at it. So if anybody wants to chat with us and attends, we'll be hanging out there as well. Love to talk to you. Next question was from Brian. Would CCOE be interested in expanding outside of the San Diego area?
Well, the good news is the CCOE has quite long fingers. We actually work with organizations and have helped develop CCOE-esque organizations all over the world. We do a lot of work on the statewide level as well as on the national level, and work with organizations as big as DoD and Department of Homeland Security, to large private organizations like the Googles of the world that are interested and developing. So the short answer is we will always be for San Diego by San Diego. But because cybersecurity knows no geographic bounds, nor do we.
There you go, Brian. Make it happen. Okay, next question I've got is curious if the master's program has this is the one that you touched on earlier, Lisa. But curious if the master's program has an element or lab where a student can review an individual's life, their own cyber risk evaluation and hardening to secure their online connected digital life. Actually, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that, Lisa, but there is.
Or I think Chris came up mute because they have a really cool lab.
Yeah,
Go
so
for it.
a couple things we do in our wireless security class, students do an assessment on their own kind of home wireless access. And in our bachelor's program, students actually they do a vulnerability scan of their home system, and then they kind of do a report of that to help them. And then in our program, we're big on labs, so we do a lot with Try Hack Me and Hack the Box labs in our program to get the students a hands-on experience. And the nice thing about the browser-based labs is is you don't run into as much of the technical problem. Although we all know building your own lab is like the best way to learn, but sometimes students don't have the resources to do that. So the browser-based lab. So we give our students like the other programs, we give them a lot of hands-on experience as part of the classroom environment.
Sweet. Sweet.
And thank you for the recommendations too in chat. We're seeing some tool recommendations there as well. If you do have some, feel free, shoot those in chat too. We'll make sure we save it.
Yeah, fantastic. And one other thing that I just realized, I dropped the link in the chat, wanted to make everybody aware. I know you mentioned that we got the opportunity to partner with you guys as a tool provider with the Security Studio risk assessment. But outside of that, the link that I dropped in there is something that Security Studio made where somebody can do a self-assessment on their home network environment. And it'll walk you through. It's broken down into different categories. It's gonna ask you a question. You can answer it yes or no, and it'll give you an overall score, but it'll give some additional context to what those risks, those controls are touching to. And that's available at no cost to anybody as well. So feel free to check that out if helpful for you. Danny had a question there. Is this for MS or PhD level students?
Is what for it?
It doesn't say. So if I go out on a limb and say it's that Security Studio home network assignment, it's open to anybody.
And the clinic is primarily it's bachelor's and master's students.
Okay.
I don't, do we have PhD students too?
No.
We have a
Oh.
PhD program, but they're focused more on research. Yeah, we haven't had although we could. I mean, we could offer it up.
Well, again, I think the bottom line here is that we are very much a community asset. We are very much here to be a community resource. We want to work with your organizations. If you need help, we would love to do projects with you. If you'd like to lend your assistance and participate as a mentor, we can customize what that looks like. And then, of course, if you are interested in helping us continue to evolve the program in terms of research, funding, opportunities with tools, we'd love to work with you as well. So, and can't thank ISACA enough for always helping to partner to bring these types of resources to the broader community. And now you guys all know where to find us. We very much hope to hear from everyone who said they were interested in questions 2 and 3. And as soon as you put in a request for information, you'll typically hear back from us within 24 to 48 hours. So we're pretty quick on the draw to make sure that we can get started on your project as soon as possible.
Cool. Yeah, and just on behalf of the chapter, we love what you guys are doing. As you shared it with us, we embraced it immediately. Super appreciative for your time to be here, share everything that you are, and would love to set up something where maybe you can just come back and join us quarterly or something with some updates or anything that you have like that. I think a big part of us, like you said, in the community for all of us to be successful, to just keep it an open and current conversation to the best that we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Teresa and Chris. As always, some of my absolute favorite partners to work with. So we appreciate it.
Thank you. It is,
Right.
we're really fortunate to have such a good partnership. It's great experience.
Yeah, no, thank you both on the academic side, and Lisa, you're always awesome. So cool.
I think we just gave everybody back 3 minutes. Woohoo!
Okay. There were a couple other questions that came in last second, if you want to answer those, if we want to. I think they kind of, where did it go?
I've got a good project example real quick if you want.
Yeah,
Please.
that'd be great, man. Please.
So one of actually it was a 2-team project. There was a startup in San Diego that wanted to do a SaaS-based AI thing on legal, and they're trying to get a contract with the state of California, but they needed an assessment. They came to our students to do an assessment, and then they're able to kind of go to the next step to get that state to work with the state. So kind of real quick, down and dirty, a success story for our students.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have a lot of similar, but we can't name the company or anything like that. So Catherine was asking an example. We're really strict about confidentiality, and we take that really seriously. So we can't ever talk in too much detail about it. But we did a really similar thing for a local company in the aerospace industry who wanted a contract with NASA. And there's a lot of, at the time, this is a few years ago now, this was prior to CMMC, I guess, even, they needed to comply with a lot of security regulations related to a government contract. And they didn't have anything in place to do that. And so we put together an entire security program for complying with that kind of thing. So that's another example. But we also implemented a firewall and redesigned a network and on and on and on. There, we have years and years of examples. So if you want to talk more about it, Catherine, some more specific examples, still not identifying any particular business, hit me up with email and I'll talk to you about it, okay?
Awesome.
There was a question about community colleges joining. Uh, um, Lisa can handle that part, but they might want to join the actual consortium out of Berkeley too, because that's a great resource. There's a bunch of tools and lessons learned and things like that. So that's a great opportunity for community colleges to join the consortium. And it's open to all educational institutions.
Yeah.
And even
That in the
since we
chat.
have 1 whole minute left, Cal State San Marcos's bachelor's program is a 2+2 completer program for community colleges that have an undergrad, or I'm sorry, an AA in computer science, which I guess they all do, or cybersecurity. So take a look at the Cal State San Marcos bachelor's program and maybe get your students through the community college set up to transfer into that completer program for a bachelor's, and then that also gives them access to the clinic.
Awesome. I think we did it. High fives, everybody. And thank you so much to everybody who joined us today.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for everybody that attended and for all of you for sharing everything you have. We'll have you back soon with more updates.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.